Good morning. Today's lesson continues on with some polar equations. So this slide kind of just shows you what the different types of polar equations are and what their equations would look like. A very common one is the rose. When you're looking at the rose, you have r equals a cosine n theta or r equals a sine n theta. So those are two different ways to create that, and it gives you a general graph. They continue on, there's some different ones here, and you can see the different forms. And then you see the spiral of Archimedes. That's a very common one that you would see as well. So these are the basic ones that you would have. So here, this is a lemicon. It looks kind of like a circle with a little circle in the inside. You can see that when you're dealing with sine, it's vertical. When you're dealing with cosine, it's horizontal. So those are some key things to remember. You can graph these on Desmos. You have to be in polar mode. You can graph them on a graphing calculator in polar mode as well. Just an example here, you can see with the cosine, it's horizontal. With the sine, it's on the diagonal. So some different things to see. Here's your rose. So there's a couple things with this. When you're talking about the rose, notice it says the A value. The A value is how far out that petal is going to go. So if you look in the first one, it says R equals 2 cosine of 3 theta. That 2 is the length of the petal. Same thing with the other one, except it's 3. Okay. Another thing that you can see on the cosine, that your first petal is over top of that positive x-axis, where that does not happen with the sine. Your first petal is in that first quadrant. Another key thing to know is that your graph will have n petals if n is odd. So on the first one, it says 3 theta, which means it has 3 petals. If your n is even, then it has double that amount of petals. So we have 4 theta, notice we have 8 petals. One of the questions on the homework also asks for find the zeros of R. That is when the petal is coming back into the origin. So you may have to, like in this case, figure out how often those petals are coming in. So if you have 8, you would do 2 pi divided by 8, okay, which is going to give you pi over 4. Now, pi over 4, though, is going to tell you where that petal, the angle of the petal, where it ends. So what you need to think about is where is that first one coming in, and that would give you pi over 8. And then you would add and you would get 3 pi over 8. And you would add pi over 4 all the way around until you get to the last one. If you have any questions, please make sure that you let me know, and I hope you would have a great weekend.